Welcome to the Industrial IoT Spotlight, your number one spot for insight from industrial IoT thought leaders who are transforming businesses today. With your host, Eric Walenza.
Welcome back to the Industrial IoT Spotlight podcast. I'm your host, Eric Walenza, CEO of IoT ONE, and our guest today is Aviran Yaacov, co-founder and CEO of Ecoplant. Ecoplant provides energy-as-a-service applications and sensor packages for industrial air compressors. And in this talk, we discussed the impact of air compressor management on energy loss and downtime in factories. We also explored the emerging field of dynamic, cloud-based control systems that use AI algorithms to optimize performance of industrial assets. If you find these conversations valuable, please leave us a comment and a 5-star review. And if you'd like to share your company's story or recommend a speaker, please email us at team@iotone.com. Thank you. Aviran, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Eric, for hosting me. Thank you.
So I'm really actually excited about our conversation today because I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of IoT companies, and a lot of entrepreneurs have the same problem that I have, which is we see an idea and then we want to go implement it, and before we know it, we've got 10 different businesses or value propositions that we're juggling for 10 different stakeholders. And when I saw your company, I thought, wow, this is really a focused company, right? You have kind of one big problem in scope. You have a tech stack oriented around that. And so I love the focus of your company. So, I really want to, also hear the story of how you oriented around that. But before we get into the discussion of your business, maybe you can just introduce, where you're coming from and how you ended up running this business. I think you set it up, about 4 or 5 years ago?
Yes. So my name is Aviran Yaacov, and I'm the CEO and the co-founder of Ecoplant. And I'm one of the 3 co-founders. You touch, I think, in a very interesting point. When people starting a company, this is actually my maybe 10th idea. Usually, you just think about a lot of ideas, and one of them, and this specific idea was very focused because my other 2 co-founders, one of them is my father. My father is 40 years expert in compressed air systems. So he came up with this idea 5 years ago. My background is IT and information systems and sales and project management. I used to work at SAP before Ecoplant. So this was my background. Used to deal with a lot of SaaS deals. So I came from this background, from the business background. And the third co-founder is one of my best friends from high school. We know each other more than 20 years. And when I said this actually was my 10th idea, me and Yaron, the partner, so every week we sat together and thought to ourselves, we want to establish a company. We want to do something big. And we thought a lot about a lot of ideas. And I think, the differentiation between, first idea or the 10th idea, you understand that you need someone that knows the market. And I think this is maybe the first lesson for me, when starting a company, is you must have someone next to you that knows the real pain of the market. And he really, really feels that. And this is my father. He really felt this pain from the market.
Gotcha. Okay, so that's very intuitive. Your father has 40 years of experience, so he kind of knows who the people are, what their pains are. Nonetheless, it's a very focused business. So how did you come to the decision that, okay, let's just focus on this? Because a lot of people naturally then say, okay, we've got our core business, and then what are the other 5 businesses that are all similar enough that we can also include those in scope? I mean, was it just your impulse? Was this a conscious decision to be a very focused company from the start?
It's like the real life, me and Yaron, we thinking about a lot of ideas. We thought of a company that will optimize the traffic. This was the one idea. The other one was to optimize the shopping experience in supermarkets. But then, my father came again with the idea that says, guys, I'm a service manager of a company that provides the services to the compressor industry. Usually today, when I want to know about the problem in the field, I need to call the guys, or I need to. They actually send me pictures of the machine screens, and tells me, okay, what is the 4985 code says? Which it's funny because only the experts sometimes know what is the problem, and again, it's not proactive; it's the reactive, action. And when we came with the Ecoplant idea, we thought to ourselves, first, it needs to be proactive, right? It needs to be someone that it will come from the field, from the factory, from the customer. Actually, why he needs to tell the service company what is wrong? We will let him know what is wrong because we track on his equipment. So I think the first level was to understand the meaning of visibility, right? To give visibility, full visibility to the factory, and we start from there. And again, we were very focused on compressed air because we understand the problem. I think because we have someone is actually product market fit founding team. This was my vision from very first day. Be focused.
And actually, this is a great category to be focused on. I was really impressed, let's say a little bit shocked reading through your documentation around how significant this problem is, particularly in regards to energy consumption. I mean, can you just share a couple of the stats around, what is the actual, let's say, operational or financial impact of this on manufacturing? Why is this a big enough problem to solve that you can actually build a scalable business just around solving this one problem?
Yeah. So when you ask compressed air people, experts, people that are dealing with this industry, they will tell you that air compressors is the secret of the manufacturing industry, because no one actually knows how to deal with them, to maintain them, to operate them in a way that they will be optimized, because air compressors is actually everywhere. So you don't imagine that. But 90% of the produced products in the market contains compressed air. So blow up a bottle or chips bag, right? Half of it is actually air. So a lot of products done by compressed air as a part of the processes. Cars, we want you paint the car as a part of the process of manufacturing a car. You need to dry the paint with the compressed air. So 90% of the produced products contain compressed air. But what is more amazing to discover here is the 50% of their produced air is going to waste, 50% according to the US DOE, because leaks, poorly timed maintenance, blockages on the pipes, overcapacity, redundancy, many problems that cause this air to be inefficient. So 50% of that is inefficient, which causes to factories hundreds of thousands of dollars to waste every year. So you can imagine a company such as a Nestle that has 600 sites. They actually spend and actually waste tens of millions of dollars every year as a result of inappropriate use of compressed air.
And then there's also a big energy. I mean, a lot of companies right now are focused on, say, managing their energy footprint, right? So I understand that compressed air also is quite energy consumptive. Is this the process of actually compressing the air? Well, I guess the air is compressed by Air Liquide or one of these companies, right? And then it's delivered. So it's the process of distributing the air that requires energy. Is that right?
Exactly. So you have the process of compressing air is that you have air compressors. You actually have in every factory a station that has a few air compressors. Could be even like 5 megawatts or 10 megawatts of electricity for compressors. So it's actually a small electricity station that you have in every factory that's producing air, and this air goes to the production floor. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. So before we get into kind of the tech stack of your solution, let's talk a little bit more about who you're actually working with. Because on the one hand, I guess this is a very horizontal solution. Like you said, okay, Nestle has 600 factories. Every factory uses compressed air. So you could have kind of a top-down model where you talk to the COO of Nestle and then, sell down. But I assume that actually in many cases it's more bottom up. It's some factory manager that is trying to control some KPI mean, where do you usually start these conversations? And, what level of the organization, and then which department? Is it the GM? Is it the is it maintenance? Is it manufacturing and engineering? Where the conversations originated?
All of the above. We're working on, actually it's both ways. So we work bottom up and top down. We're working with a corporate. So yeah, we're talking with the sustainability, operation excellence, all the departments that in charge how to optimize and reduce costs for the corporate. On the same level, we also work with the maintenance managers and the facility managers, system engineers in factories. So they are in the local level. We have actually a champion program for those guys. So usually, like it's a facility engineer or the reliability engineer, and we create like a program for them how to save this energy and how to optimize their operations. We work closely with our partners, which is service providers, companies that provide services like maintenance. They sell machines. They do energy audits. They are actually our partners, and we work together with those champions to make their life easier, save energy, and this is even before I explain what the product does. Is just the approach. Work with them closely and create a program for them to save.
So you mentioned that sometimes you're coming from the sustainability side, sometimes from the operational excellence side. If you just talk about what are the objectives that your customer is trying to achieve, that is kind of driving the investment decision, in the business case, what would you say is the top objective? Is it more from the sustainability side? Is it more from the just the pure P&L impact? I mean, what do they actually put down in the business case to justify this investment?
Yes, it really depends on the corporate. I can say that, for example, Cargill that have 1,500 factories globally, but they have actually a goal for 10% reducing their carbon footprint and reduce the energy. So they are very driven, like sustainability. A lot of factories or other corporates are motivated by reducing their energy costs, but also to optimize their operations. So if you don't have air in your factory, you actually have downtime. If you can't dry the paint on the car, you can't release it to the market. You have recall, a lot of problems. So I think it's both sustainability and energy, and also reliability and avoiding downtime. This is actually the motivations that every factory or corporate has.
Okay, great. Let's then get into the solution a little bit. I mean, my understanding is that you're providing kind of the full stack. So from the sensor to the software, maybe also the integration. What is the full stack, and then what is it that you're doing? And are there any other partners where you would involve them in implementation?
As I said, we work closely with service providers. They're actually our partners. They integrate, they install our solution, they support it on first tier. They're close, very close to the field. They already work with the customers. Each one of these companies that usually have thousands of customers already. So we work with them, to accelerate our solution and sell it to the market. Usually factories, they have already the sensors installed, so we connect to existing sensors very easily. Our technology is really plug and play. Our installation is less than 2 days. So it's actually very fast installation. As I told you before, I'm now in Indiana. So we installing now in our system in one of the biggest bed companies producing beds for hospitals. So it's under 2 days installation. And if the factory doesn't have those sensors, so we can provide as a part of one of our packages. So it could be just integrate with existing sensors, or we can bring the sensor as a part of the package. Could be both ways.
Gotcha. So your core technology is this SaaS product, and then if sensors are required, you can advise on which would be the right sensors for a particular solution. Can you describe the solution then, focusing on the SaaS? So I understand this can be used across different interfaces, mobile, desktop, etc. Who would be the end users of the actual solution? And then what is it that they're, what information are they receiving? Alerts. What is the typical flow for a user?
Yes. So the solution itself, it's actually our uniqueness. We have 2 patents on that globally. What we do, we collect data from different type of compressors. It doesn't matter the brand or technology. It could be rotary screw or vane or centrifugal. It doesn't matter the brand. It could be all brands. We are integrated with all the biggest brands in the world, and we pull out data such as flow and pressure and kilowatts, oil temperature, hours, operations, everything from the compressor itself. Also, as you mentioned, we also providing or connecting to existing sensors that already installed on the pipes in the factory. And our uniqueness, and this is our patent, one of the our uniqueness in the stuff that we do very different than others. We do dynamic control, which means we don't just collect data, provide insights or recommendations or reports. We actually act. We create the outcome, the actual savings. So we control the equipment, the air compressors, but on dynamic way. So not like our solutions that you have today that you just have like a static algorithm that just control the system according to the expert that defined it prior to the installation or tune it one time. We do it automatically and most likely autonomously. And this is through AI algorithms that learns the patterns of the factory and change ongoing all the time on proactive way the operations of the compressor system.
Okay, very, very interesting. So what would be like a typical parameter? Maybe what are the most common parameters that you would want to modify, in real time based on, some operational change in the factory?
Yes, so we turn off compressors that it's not efficient. So we turn it off. We send alerts, of predictive maintenance if it's something wrong and could be effect of the factory operation. We change the pressure of the system. So it's actually an operational system. So once you install our system, you can be relaxed that you will have the most up-to-date control system all the time in your factory because it's also SaaS and it's it's over the cloud, so it's out all the time. The system adjusts itself to the factory very, very dynamic production levels because the world is changing all the time. We know COVID, for example. So one of our very good examples is a factory, and maybe we can talk further about it later, that lower his production levels in 20-25%. 3 months ago, during the July, it was, I think, 2020. So he reduced his production level in 20-25%, but now he just returned to full production. But he actually produced the same air. So we make his production more efficient because it's not wasting more money now. You see what I mean? 20-25% more production, same energy.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I can imagine that a lot of the time equipment's not shut off when it's not in use, or the parameters are just kept at a constant regardless of how it's being used. So, I mean, this is quite interesting to me because we hear a lot of cases that are remote monitoring, right? Like you said, kind of extracting data and then visualizing it for some user. Remote control and automated control is less common, and because in a lot of equipment, it's a little bit hard to actually get access to the equipment and be able to modify the parameters. Is this for you? Has this been a challenge, or for was it actually quite easy? Because I imagine across these different brands, some of them might be, I don't know, maybe resistant to providing access to third parties, or there's at least some technical barriers. What was this a challenge, or am I misreading this? Because in many cases, you have companies like Siemens and so forth who are quite protective of their assets and do put up some barriers for third parties to gain access.
If it wasn't challenge, it was unique. It wasn't unique, what we do. But I think again, what we do here using open source communication protocols to connect and communicate with the air compressors. If it's not available, so we have other ways to control it. I think we figure out how to do it. The connectivity was the first level of the solution. The real challenge is over the cloud. The real challenge is the algorithms. It's the autonomous algorithms. It's to to be up to date, to fit yourself to the dynamic changes. I can tell you for sure that it's amazing to see. We see many control systems in factories. Most of them, the average of a system that get out of tune is on average 3 months. And you pay for that tens of thousands of dollars for implementation. And after 3 months, 1 quarter, your system is not up to date. It's like, you see how your energy consumption getting, your energy efficiency in the factory getting lower and lower and lower over time.
So the algorithms, is it the algorithm needs to learn the asset, but then once it learns a particular type of equipment, that applies across any factory that type of asset, that brand or that model is being used on?
I think it's a very good point because it's both on the equipment type, technology, brand, and industry. So, for example, in the food and beverage industry, you have air compressors that actually it's oil-free compressors, which behaving in a different way that oil floated. You can actually tell to the factory, you should prefer this compressor technology than the other, because we know best practice. You can compare it to other factories in your type or like you, the same industry.
Interesting. So do you actually get into I don't know if this is a business for you, but I guess people often ask you what models they should be using, right? Because you have a lot of expertise there. Is this a case where you're frequently, recommending manufacturers to use one model versus another for a particular case? I suppose that would make the OEMs quite.
Yeah, we are independent. We're trying not to like recommend a specific brand, but we can sure help the factory to profile his system and see what the capacity of the air compressors needs, what is the technology that is preferred to use on his case. So stuff like that. So we can help the factory to design his compressed air better. This is actually, it's a problem that many factories has, because you build your factory, you can build it in the 70s or the 60s, and you build more departments. You need more air, right? So it's patches. So you do it every few years, you just adding a new compressor to your system. So in a 30, 40 years, you have a station of compressed air that have diversity of many technologies and air compressors and the sizes and the technologies. Again, it's caused because time changes and you're adding more and more to your production. You have different needs, but not always you have the right advisor that would help you to design your air system better. Factories, most of the times, don't understand compressed air. They know how to produce very good chocolate. They know how to produce very good cars. They don't know nothing about the compressed air systems. As I said, compressors is the secret of the manufacturing industry.
Coming back to this topic of the algorithms, so I understand that the algorithms are optimized around particular models, brands. Is the algorithm also optimized around a production line? So let's say you deploy on production line for chocolate manufacturer A, and then you later deploy on production line for chocolate manufacturer B that uses the same equipment and produces the same thing, but maybe they have different volumes. They have a different production process for the form factor of the chocolate or whatever. Is there also optimization at that level of the production line, or is it focused more on the asset class?
It's another great question. We have two things here. First, we have one of the biggest problems that factories has it's leaks. They have a lot of leaks on their system, and the most worst thing with compressed air, you don't see the leaks. It's air. It's not like water. You don't see the leaks. And leaks, most of the cases are inside the production floor. So what we do with our system, and this is because it's an IoT, it's SaaS, it's something that it's wireless. We can connect as many as you like sensors to the system. So we encourage, and this is our business model, very encouraging the customer to connect as many sensors as he want. He can just buy off-the-shelf sensors and just connect to our platform. We analyze the rate of the leaks and help the factory to connect it inside the production floor. So we can also detect the leak rate in each one of the production lines. So the factory is a part of the service. In addition to that, we also create, and this is we created like a standard APIs to the factory, so he can actually send us his tonnage, the outcome of the factory, what is the output, of the factory. So if you have certain of of a tonnage that you're producing, we can actually correlate this tonnage with your compressed air that you produce. And this is all, again, it's very unique because another solution is just focusing on the producing of compressed air with just regular central controller systems. Our platform, it's a 360 platform that also help you to understand what is your tonnage, what is your correlation to your compressed air of tonnage. So if you see, for example, that you are producing more, and we see it as a part of the process, you do baseline. So we see that sometimes in the first 3 weeks, we just monitor the system without controlling. So we see the tonnage, for example, goes up, goes down, which means the factory producing less. But we see that the compressed air system, because we're measuring the flow, is going up. So it's not correlated. It's interesting, you're producing less, but you're consuming more air. Something wrong here. This is one of the indication of a leakage, of compressed air leakage. So we provide those analytics to the factory to connect his infrastructure to the production floor, his utilities to the tonnage, and on the same time, we help him to reduce that by control the system better, identify the leaks, and just keep up to date with his compressor system if he needs to design or add new production line.
Okay, interesting. So I'm curious about from a system integration perspective. Every factory has dozens, maybe even hundreds of systems, and so it can be a little bit cumbersome for people to figure out where the information is. I mean, are you connected directly to MES to gather this data, and then do you have any outbound connections to MES, to ERP, to any other systems where you can report this because it sounds like this might even for financial purposes, for example, this data might be useful. What does it look like from a system integration perspective?
So there are many, of course, production and softwares, and as you said, MES, SCADA, and many systems. We provide standard API. The customer can actually pull out the data, as many as you like, and he can just take the data and analyze that on his systems. You have in any corporate, any factory today, you have people it's like a data people. They can collect data from different systems. So we provide a standard API. They can just, take the data and analyze it manually or automatically take the data and integrate it with another systems. Vice versa. So we also work with a few IoT other companies that, for example, they measuring already kilowatts in the factory compressors. So we created like a cloud-to-cloud integration with those sensors. So if it's something that we see this, it's like it has like great potential. And for example, we do like a corporate deal with a customer, and he says, "Guys, I have thousands of sensors that measuring kilowatts in my compressors." So it's worth to think about it. And we, of course, also very agnostic. And if it's something that makes sense for the deal, we for sure can consider that also.
Maybe we can discuss the business model then a little bit here. Is it a SaaS? I mean, I guess if you're doing sensor and so forth, there's some CapEx investment, but is it typically kind of a SaaS operation? And then what would it be, just like a flat monthly, or it's per compressor? What would be the typical business model setup?
Really depends on the size of the factory, but it's a flat price, annual price for the factory. We try to keep it very simple.
Oh, so it's flat so if a factory has, but then you'll say, okay, this factory has whatever 50 compressors or 10 compressors or 200 compressors, and you'll have kind of different levels. Is that?
Yeah. Usually is the capacity, and again, it's a fixed price. Again, it's not related directly to the energy savings, because we do much more than that, right? Usually the energy savings, it's something like 20-25% of the entire value that we provide to the customer on an annual basis. It's a fixed price, very straightforward.
Gotcha. Can you give us just like, I know that the answer here is always that it depends, but can you give kind of a high level range? If we've got like a medium sized factory that wants to get set up, what would they be looking at as kind of a starting?
It's a vary between factories, but it could be, it's a really wide range.
So I'm curious here because there's always discussion around, from a lot of the OEMs, the equipment manufacturers, about how do they actually gain access to data. They have also a stake in this data, right? This can be useful for their R&D. They can realize that certain functionalities are not working appropriately and so forth. Do you ever have OEMs that are approaching you and saying, "Hey, can we gain?" I assume the customers have access to this data, so maybe you own the data, so maybe you don't even have access to the data. Do OEMs ever come to you and say, "Hey, can we work out a deal where we can actually gain some access to the data that you're getting around our system, so that we can, maybe bring that into our back into our R&D processes and improve the performance of our equipment?" Or is that a conversation that's come up?
We had few opportunities with a few air compressors manufacturers that we did some tests, and we thought about it. It was most on the beginning of the company, so the first maybe 2 years. But we discovered that at the end of the day, we want to stay neutral. We don't want to be colored by one manufacturer. We are fully independent, and flexible.
Makes sense. Also, from a business perspective, then you just have one customer group. It's very clear who you're servicing.
Exactly.
Okay, you're a focused man. I like that.
We try to stay like this. Yeah, it's very hard. It's very hard to stay focused. I know that many entrepreneurs, you have so many opportunities. I had opportunity. I think it was 3 months ago. There was a deal on the table that with a factory that has 50 sites, and they even didn't want any. Sometimes people ask for you a pilot, and they want to try and buy. They didn't ask for that. They want just to pay for the first year, like just a regular customer. But we said no. Because I think one of the things that we are very try to do and keep it on a regular basis is to be in a connection with our R&D team, working with also very closely with my partners. So one of the things that they said when I brought with this business opportunity, and again it's a huge opportunity, the product that they wanted was actually on premise. So yeah.
Okay.
So we are cloud-based company, SaaS and everything. They agree to pay SaaS, but they want the solution to be on premise. We can talk another hour about security on IoT. It's a whole other subject. But for us, we unfortunately we said no, because make our solution to be on premise. It's a fundamental change, and we are really don't want to do it right now, because again we want to stay focused and leverage our product. It's a product company, not a service company.
Yeah. Okay. Because then you get into a big R&D project for this one customer, and then the trend is towards cloud and SaaS in any case, right? So that's probably something where you have a bit business for the next X number of years, but in any case, you're already providing the solution that the market is trending towards. So.
I would say that all the answers are correct. It could be also a great opportunity. It can open up a lot of doors, but the risk was higher than the opportunity. You do the internal analyze, and you say to yourself, the risk here that I take is bigger than the opportunity, and we are, at the end of the day, a small company. We're a startup company. We can't allow to ourselves to this type of this risk for us.
Have you accepted any venture capital, or are you self-financed? What have you used to finance the technology development?
Yeah, so we raised a total of $8 million to the company. Some of that was non-dilutive money from the government funds and grants. We funded by the Israel Innovation Authority and also the U.S. Department of Energy. which I think it's great because it's a recognition, it's a prestigious. And we also raise money from VC based on the Valley. And our lead investor, actually, it's a company called Ecolab. It's a company, it's a huge company. It's a $60 billion worth company. They have 70,000 customers globally in more than 130 countries. They're based in the Midwest here in Chicago. We have a great partnership with them. They are both customers and partners go to market. So we also work with the business departments to develop our champions program.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I know Ecolab. So very, very interesting. Okay, so you have some strong corporate venture. Cool. So why don't we wrap up here with one or two kind of walkthroughs? From, let's say, starting from the initial conversation, who are you talking to, and then what does it look like? And if you can get into some of the details around how much time it takes to get up to, not just to install the system, but also for the users to get up and running on it. Can you just maybe choose kind of a common scenario and then walk us through the process?
Yeah. So, I will give like a real example from life. I think it is the best examples that you can give. So usually what happens is we are talking with a factory level, or it could be also with the corporate level. It really depends on the opportunity, but it could be it could be bottom up or top down. We're talking if it's for example it's on the factory level, on the site level. So you have maintenance managers, you have facility engineers, you have the people that it's actually on site, and they looking for a solution to reduce energy. Maybe they have a big downtime in their factory lately, and they want to upgrade their control strategy or solution. So what we do a technical visit. We or our partners, we analyze and do the initial qualification of the factory, the size, the type, the complexity. Then what we do, we just install the system. The installation is less than 2 days. Then we do 3 weeks or 4 weeks of a baseline. So we learn the patterns of the factory. We learn what is the usage, what is the common practice that they have in the factory. We analyze all this data. Again, we take data from the air compressors, from the controllers, from pipeline sensors, everywhere, also the tonnage of the factory. So we take a whole bunch of data, analyze that, and after 3 weeks, we provide the first Ecoplant monthly report to the factory. Then, of course, with the potential of savings, the estimation and everything, if we decided to move forward. So we move forward to a full SaaS contract. Usually it's between 3 to 5 years. From there, it's an annual subscription. We build like an annual program for the factory, how to save, and also activate our dynamic controller optimization, which means that we are controlling the equipment, changing parameters, turn on, turn off, all of this through our AI engine. Yeah, so this is basically what we do. And then, of course, after we have success with the site, so we do it also as a corporate initiative. It could be sometimes just through the corporate, so it's already a corporate initiative. But this is another way, to go to the corporate.
Gotcha. Okay, and so this initial month or so doing the assessment, the initial deployment, and then running this three week kind of data processing. I suppose that's a paid pilot.
I think also for the factory, it's really, really good experience, to get a taste of what we do, just the first month. And it's also like a paperwork. So you can actually take this document and, you can do whatever you like. It's like a report. It's like a study of your system. So you can start from that. We, of course, our what we want to do here is, of course, to establish a long-term relationship and says, okay, this is not just a study. We can also take this understandings or what we just saw from the system and make it into an action, from recommendation to outcome.
Absolutely. So let's say that a customer says, okay, this is great. Let's sign the contract. Let's do the deployment, the full deployment. Is there I suppose the data, the analytics reporting, you're able to activate immediately. Is there any longer training time required before you are able to kind of implement the control processes? Because I suppose, okay, so and you find that customers usually have no problem providing control. This is
again, you have like other solutions that already do a control, but they don't do dynamic control. So after these 3 weeks, immediately we can just activate the engine. We have features that can be, it's an optional, of course, for factories that can actually have something like semi-automatic, which means that we will provide all the recommendations, and you can just press here, OK, to activate the actions. So it's also possible. But most of the factories, they really want peace of mind. They don't want to deal with their compressors. So we just...
Yeah, it's a great asset class to be working with, right? It's like everybody needs it. It's a cost center. I mean, it's a significant cost, but it's not, it's not something that's directly related to the quality of the output. It's just kind of it's just a cost center. So it's you don't have to worry too much about people, worried that you're going to impact the quality of the outcome product, right? So that makes it maybe a little bit easier here.
Also, you have a lot of ISO requirements with compressors. So actually, our last grant from the US DOE was about air quality, compressed air quality. So now we do like 5 pilots in the US in food and beverage factories, which is really, really sensitive to air quality. They need their compressed air to be very dry and clean from particles and oil in the air. So part of the things that we are providing is it's a package of sensors that measuring this air quality, and our control algorithms. We also control open and closed dryers. So dryer is a part of the compressed air process, and we also provide the factory the way to protect and reduce the risk of having bad air quality.
Very cool. So what is next for you guys? Is it, are there any new product developments or kind of technology developments that are, on the short-term roadmap for you? Or is it just you already have the product and now you're just in kind of ramp up mode? And what is next on the horizon for you?
In the short term, it's a lot of ramp up, and just acquiring more customers mostly in the US. US is our main focus now. Yes, so getting new customers and expand our offering to air compressors, and specifically expand to also to other customers. Mid-term, long-term strategy also, and we already did it, but it's something that we are now building. So it's a complete platform for the whole utilities, the whole infrastructure. So we will bring our dynamic control solution also to the water walls, so the chillers and pumps, other utilities. According to the US DOE, all the utilities together is equal to 70% of the entire energy in factories. So now we're dealing with 30%, 35%, which is half. But our goal is to get to 70, maybe 80% of the energy in the factory, to control it better and to reduce energy and CO2. And I must say, personally, I'm proud to be a part of the company that do something good to the world. There are many companies that are developing, and excuse me, but it's great and fun to develop chat applications, which is very important and make your life maybe easier. But again, we try to make the world greener and better. And this is a part of what Ecoplant does by just solving a specific problem that the industry has.
Yeah, great. Well, I wish you success here. I mean, it sounds like you're already having plenty of it, but definitely you're doing something that's very important, and it sounds like you're building a great business along the way. So I wish you can continue to success. How could our listeners reach out to you? What's the best way? Is it on LinkedIn? Is there a general email they should reach out to? Is it just your website? What's your preference?
The above. So you can just send me an email. I'm getting emails, and I like opportunities. So if you have interesting opportunity, just reach out to me. LinkedIn will be good. Website, everything works.
Okay, beautiful. Yeah, we'll put all those into the show notes. Very good. Well, thank you again for taking the time to discuss with us. I think it's a great business. And really appreciate you taking time to walk us through the technology and the model.
Thank you very much, Eric, and have a good luck. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to another edition of the Industrial IoT Spotlight. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at IoT ONE HQ and to check out our database of case studies on IoT1.com. If you have unique insight or a project deployment story to share, we'd love to feature you on a future edition. Write us at eric.walenza@iot1.com.